Excuse me. You're all looking wonderful, by the way, but while we're here, keep the noise right down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please be seated. Prefect joke of the day is, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
Thank you. That was really funny. Thank you. Awesome. Huh? Oh, that was from the headmaster. Hi, everyone. You look great. I feel like I'm not in Kansas anymore looking out at you all. You look really, really good. We're going to begin with the Groves House hymn, hymn number 4, I Feel the Winds of God. Please stand. Thank you all. Please be seated. So today, of course, is Pride Day at Shawnigan, and there are a couple of students who want to tell you about some of the goings-on during the day. But before they do, I have a couple of thoughts to share about how every one of us might enter into the spirit of this day. So this is a day, of course, when we recognize the diversity in our own community, particularly with regard to sexual orientation and gender identity, issues that, of course, are more alive and more challenging for some than others. But the reality, of course, is that our identity as males and females is broader than our sexual preferences. Gender identity confronts every one of us with a variety of challenging and interesting and inescapable questions. What does it mean to be male or female in this culture? And how is that meaning changing? How do we deal with male privilege and with equality between men and women in a way that serves everyone? How do we continue to deal with stereotypes regarding emotional expression, intellectual capacity, and social and family roles? Do gender roles constrict us, or do they give meaning to our lives, or both? So these are questions that call to all of us. And the movement that has led to us celebrating Pride Day, and that movement is very complex and multifaceted, has always had at its edge the common value of allowing every person the freedom to wind their way along those questions without being ridiculed, bullied, condemned, or judged. So Pride Day can serve all of us by supporting us in our freedom to be ourselves, regardless of what stereotypically is considered normal. Of course, we develop who we are not in isolation. No one is an island. We develop our sense of self in the context of our relationships with one another. So Pride Day isn't primarily about individual freedom, it's primarily about the way that we treat one another. So the use of the word pride is an interesting part of the evolution of our thinking about social change. And so it's good to understand where this use of pride came from. Of course, the common usage of the word pride has to do with the feelings we get from our accomplishments, more of an individual thing. And traditionally, it's been believed that too much pride or the wrong kind of pride can be a dangerous thing. Perhaps it is. But the usage of the word that gives meaning to this Pride Day has its roots in the politics of the 1960s, when the Black Pride movement flourished. So that movement gave birth to Chicano Pride and other pride movements. And in that context, pride meant something a little bit different. It was the process by which minorities who were told that they didn't matter, that they were inferior, that they were not to aspire to the same things as the majority white culture, realized that they were not going to be given a sense of worth and value by that mainstream culture. So they realized that they had to cultivate and internalize a sense of worth for themselves. And we see this in its most recent manifestation in a movement that specifically states this notion as its reason for being: Black Lives Matter. So this has all turned out to be a fairly effective strategy, especially as a way to reprogram the brains of young people in minority communities. Jesse Jackson, I don't know if you know that name, Reverend Jesse Jackson was a civil rights leader. He had a movement that, by the way, was called the Rainbow Coalition, and he was famous for his call and response chants to large audiences like you of high school students. He would shout, "I am somebody," and the students would respond, "I am somebody." It was this notion of pride in oneself and one's community in the face of disdain, unfair treatment, and sometimes violence that has been picked up by the catalyzers of the movement for rights and recognition for people whose sexual orientation and gender self-understanding is different than what has traditionally been found acceptable. So the first gay pride marches were not celebrations, they were political protests. In Canada, the first gay pride march took place in Toronto in 1978 as a response to the arrest and incarceration of gay men, particularly. It was a call for the decriminalization of homosexuality and for a safer and more equitable society for everyone. I was in that first march that day. So the notion of pride as it has come down to us from the politics of the 1960s and 70s is about the fact that every life matters and that bigotry in all its forms is totally and completely unacceptable. So today I invite you to celebrate our common bonds, our pride in our community and in one another, and our common commitment to a community in which all are safe, free, and able to express their true selves. And now I'd like to invite Aria and Henry to come up and tell us a bit more about Pride Day.
So not all of you know, but my name is Henry, and I'm in grade 10, and I came to the school last year. And last year, I could tell what is rough, I can tell you that. I didn't have many people to talk to at that time because I wasn't exactly a people person. So at the start of the year, I was struggling because I started to have some problems with myself. I knew for a while that I was bi, but I didn't really think about talking to anybody about it, or yeah. So once I got to the school, I started to rethink quite a bit of that, thinking, should I tell people? Who should I tell? Why? How? And if it really does matter, how they'll respond. So after a while, maybe it was like 2 months, finally got the nerve to talk to somebody. And it ended up being my mom. So I called my mom. It was a very stressful time because I didn't know what she would respond when she picked up the phone. I was wondering, would she not like it? I don't know. I was just full of stress and everything. And once it was dialing, that's when I was having all the thoughts. Then she picked up the phone. She asked if everything was okay, and I told her I needed to talk. She waited for me to continue, and I told her, Mom, I'm pretty sure I'm bi, and I just wanted to take this off my shoulders. She there was no sound for a while, and then she ended up telling me in a calm voice that it's okay, and I've done nothing wrong. I didn't break any house rules, and there went all my stress, my worries, and the closet. My other worry was still there, the guys at the house. At this time, I didn't know much about the house. I was still pretty shy around the place, didn't talk to many people, and I just didn't know how they would respond, how close everyone was. So I decided to tell one person. And that one person ended up telling another person, and it just kind of spread, which I think that was a good thing, because I ended up finding out that everyone in the house accepts it. Nobody is against it that has spoken out, at least. And even came to my brother, who was here last year, and he came in my room, talked to me about it, and just made sure that everything was okay. He's here for me, and it was good. So that was at the end of the week when everybody found out about it. So last year it was full of stress, counselor meetings, and at the end, relief. I'm not the only one to have a story like this, but I'm lucky that I have a house and family like mine.
I'd tell you to take a moment to thank Henry, but I think we just did. So I'm Aria, if you don't know who I am, and I'd just like to wish everybody an awesome Pride Month. I was worried when I got here too. I'd been out for a few years, and I didn't know how the religious side of the school would react or if it would be weird in the house, but everybody's been so wonderful here, and just this last year alone, we've made so many great strides at Shawnigan for Pride. Last year, we had a really hard time getting any meetings going. We only had one, and people were really secretive and sneaking around all the time. And as fun as it is to hide in the costume closet at Groves, it's really stuffy in there. And you can't fit more than 4 people, which was a problem for our impromptu meetings. And this year, thanks to Mr. Lamont and Miss Hamilton and Miss Atkinson, we've got a regular group going, and I'd just like to thank everybody who's come this year for really helping us to make this school a more inviting place for everybody. It's made a world of difference, and I'm just so proud of everybody that's come. I really hope that Shawnigan keeps going forward with this message of pride that we've started to really enjoy here, and I'm so thankful for everything that I've been able to do and that we've been able to do together. So on with that today, there will be a few activities. So at break, we're gonna have shaved ice, face painting, and some more less fun activities like writing down what pride means to you. But they're super fun. Yes, they're super fun. And tonight after dinner, we're gonna have a giant bouncy castle in the quad, if anyone is interested in that. So I'd just like to thank everybody, and you all look really great in rainbow.
Thank you, both of you. At the beginning of chapel, Mrs. Hamilton said, well, I don't know what Henry and Ari are going to say. And I said, well, what else is new? Thank you so much for that, Henry. That was really amazing. And Aria, thank you for all your work. Have a really great Pride Day, everybody. And we're going to end with a song. I think we're all going to dance out of the chapel. We're not going to sing today. So have a really great day. You want to say something? Okay. Hold on.
Right, everyone. I couldn't resist making a comment about this. Hugely grateful for all this is a student initiative and an introduction to our life here at Shawnigan. So thanks to all the students who've really encouraged us to have a Pride Day here. It is an explosion of Technicolor, retro outfits, makeup, in fact, even looking at Aria there, sort of multicolored freckles. Chapel is deeply garish today. One member of staff is sporting a sleep mask on her head. I think Mr. Jucolo's tracksuit is both retro and remarkably cool. I'm not quite sure what that color is, though, Gary. And really appreciative of the start. Gary, where are you? Just stand up for a second, Gary. There we are, in his purple or mauve. But just thank the staff for entering into the spirit of this as well. The Rev, thanks for your sensitive, thoughtful, and thought-provoking address, and really Aria and Henry for standing up here and giving such courageous addresses to the whole community. I was away at the provincials on Friday for rugby, and want to congratulate the Colts and the first 15 and the rowing team away at the regatta at St. Catherine's. You represented the school with pride and with distinction. I was, however, hugely touched when I was at the rugby on Friday, because I was in the sort of pre-final warm-up tent, injury tent, tape tent. People were getting out the magic ice spray to sustain themselves through the match. And I did notice that a number of players were still wearing the rainbow laces they'd put into their boots at the beginning of the year. And if you remember, this was to echo the All Blacks stance on pride. And I was delighted that our rugby players continue to support in that manner. And actually, finally, I want to say that standing on the chapel steps this morning, I felt a huge sense of pride in your response to this initiative, this student initiative, this call to action. Back to you, Rev. Thank you. saw someone with a banjo earlier.